Solidarity. We are convening here now and today to express our disappointments, our disenfranchisements, and our disharmony to the Republic and the government of Kenya.
Live from the Communication Center at Kibabi University, this is the Big Table.
Kulikoni?
Kunani?
Je, ni yapi yanayoendelea nchini Kenya?
Ni matatizo yepi sugu yanayokumba wananchi?
Ni lazima migomo ifanyike ili kutatua shida hizo. It's another wonderful evening wherever you are watching us from. This is the Extramile Media Team, ready to make sure that we bring you live events. What is the key focus? It is simply the second segment of the Big Table. And the key focus is Kenya, a striking nation. On this, we're having a look at what has been happening in the last 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even 3 months. What is the area of focus? Intern doctors, JSS, JKIA deal, without forgetting Gen Z revolution. My name is Gideon Iyeri. Mwanahabari mwenza, ni sintofahamu ipi?
Na mpenzi mtazamaji, basi katika mjadala wetu wa leo tutakuwa tunakufanulia vyema sintofahamu hiyo kuwa fahamu. Na kufanikisha hilo, tupo na wanahabari wetu waliokita kambi maeneo mbalimbali humu nchini. Tupo naye Brian na mwenzake Doreen Onsongo ambao wamekita kambi katika lango kuu la chuo kikuu cha Kibabii. Tuko naye Soita na mwenzake Sylvia ambao wako katika zahanati katika kaunti ya Bungoma. Naye Wayne ambaye yupo katika barabara kuu ya kuelekea uwanja wa ndege wa Kisumu. Naye Collins ameweza kutangamana na vijana wa Gen Z akiwa maeneo ya Kandui. Bila kumsahau Jackson ambaye amekita kambi katika kaunti ya Kakamega ili kuweza kupata hoja mbalimbali kwa wananchi hao. Tutakuwa tunakujuza mengi katika mjadala wetu wa leo. Jina langu ni Riziki Wanyanya.
Na mpenzi mtazamaji, asante kwa kuweza kuungana nasi, ikiwa hii ni studio yetu ya mawasiliano ambapo tumeweza kuungana nao wageni wetu kwenye studio zetu. Tupo naye Erastus Masinde almaarufu kama Generali. Tupo naye Edwin Sang ambaye ni katibu mkuu wa chuo kikuu cha Kibabii. Tupo naye Isabel Ziz ambaye ni mwanahabari atakayeungana nasi kupitia njia ile ya kimtandao. Tupo naye Evans Poriot ambaye ni mwanafunzi anayeshughulikia masuala ya usalama katika chuo kikuu cha Kibabii, na mwingine almaarufu kama Generali Enoch. Mpenzi mtazamaji, ungana nasi katika gumzo letu la siku ya leo, lakini kwanza tukaweze kujua upande wa pili wa studio ambako Obed na Kuria wako na yapi walionayo kwetu sisi. Mimi ni Lea Luvuno.
Well, thank you very much, Lea Luvuno, back at our communication studio. We acknowledge that you are in the great company of our able colleagues, that is Gideon Iyeri and Riziki Mwanya. Remember that the topic of the day today in the Big Table discussion is that, is Kenya a striking nation? And the temperatures are already rising in the hotspot studio.
Yes, and it's going to be smoky. But remember that I'm Jane Kuria. I'll be your host. And the house is already full, being that we have the best of the best guests. The first one being Silali Kibika, the president of Kibabii University. And the other one is Caleb Marenga, who was the former speaker of the parliament of the student body in the institution.
Hold on a moment. He was also Mr. Silali Kibika's opponent in the previous Soko elections.
Wow.
Oh. We'll dive into that.
But remember that today is not like any other day. We got our colleagues who have sat at the expert studio giving analysis and factual information of the whole production.
All right, Jen, from the hotspot studio, I'm getting you loud and clear hapa kwenye studio ya utaalam. Kumbuka kwamba siku ya leo tutakuwa tunachambua masuala wa kadha ndani ya studio hii, lakini je, kuna nini
kuhusu nini
la kulijadili?
Kwa makini.
Yote haya tutakuwa tunazungumzia ndani ya studio hii ya utaalam, na siku ya leo tumebahatika kupata wataalam ambao watakuwa wanaangazia mambo haya kwa kina zaidi.
And indeed, it is here at our expert studio where all your answers shall be pursued and verified as well. And in this space, no effort will be spared as we keep pace with the global milestone in evolution of broadcasting technology. We shall always endeavor to explain rather than just state, to break it down rather than just convey. And in every line, we will always try to shed light to help you navigate through our news landscape. And every week we will be bringing you the explainer at the expert studio with me, Banis and Angel.
Nami Mtua Bernard.
And as we speak about the striking nation, this is the opportune time for us to have a discussion like this within our country. This is just after the ongoing Kenyan Public University lecturers who are currently on strike trying to represent their grievances to the government of Kenya and the Ministry of Education at large. And that's why today at our expert studio, we have experts who are going to shed more light on what is behind this strike and why should we have this strike every now and then. We have the former first female representative for Kibabi University 2023-2024 academic year, as well as the Kibabi University activist who has been in the front line in presenting the voice of the voiceless in Kibabi University.
Ni bayana kwamba mjadala huu unakuja wakati mwafaka sawia na jinsi wanahabari wenza Banis na Mutua pale katika studio zetu za expert wanavyosema uhalisia mambo jinsi yalivyo. Moja kwa moja basi tuelekee katika studio zetu za Extra Time ambapo Richard Ida yupo.
You have heard that this is the big table where we'll be discussing matters that is Kenya a striking nation. Na kwenye studio ni mimi Richard Ida, nina mgeni wangu hapa ambaye ni Johnny Isaka ambaye ni mwanabiashara lakini amebobea katika upande wa sporti. Hapa tutakuwa tunazungumzia changamoto ambazo zinakumba upande wa sporti, hasa maandamano ambayo yanaendelea nchini Kenya. Lakini kabla hatujaendelea tunajiuliza kwamba kuna mikakati ambazo zinaweza fanywa kwa jukumu la Kenya ama lazima watumie tu maandamano ndio tatizo ambazo zinakumba taifa la Kenya ziweze kutatuliwa. Tunarudi kwa station yetu ya mawasiliano ambao kuna wenzetu wamepiga kambi kule, watakuwa wanajadili hili kiundani.
Shukran sana kwake Papa Ida akiwa ni mwanahabari mwenza anayezingatia masuala ya spoti. Nasi na tujitose moja kwa moja kwenye mjadala wetu wa leo.
Indeed, it is an amazing conversation that you will never want to miss at all. Remember that you can weigh in through our social media platforms. This is the Extramile Media, Facebook, Twitter, remember that Instagram also, and YouTube, the Extramile Media. But as we begin the show, Mr. Erastus, when it comes to Kibabi University matters, there is a group of these people normally referred as generals. What does the term general means also when it comes to Kibabi University, and what role do these generals play to Kibabi University?
We didn't just wake up to say that we are generals. Generals is a name that was earned after what we have done for the students of Kibabi University. You know, when we joined here, there was no these couples, there was no tarmac road, there was no electricity. And it took our courage to come up with my fellow friends, whom you know, Enoka Wekesa. We fought. After fighting for the rights of comrades, during that time, we had so many cowards, but we stood out as leaders. And from there, we earned that title. So when it comes to matters of Kibabi, we are always there. We have been fighting, we fought. Some of us were suspended, were given warning letters, but we didn't relent. We fought to the end, and now you can see Kibabi is a nice place. In fact, it's one of the best and the beautiful university in Kenya, just because we fight for that.
All right, so that's amazing. But again, we have seen your involvement, even up to date. After you graduated, is it linked to the alumni segment?
The term general?
Yes.
You know, even when you go to military, even after somebody has retired, that person will forever remain general. So, even if I graduated, we are still the generals. And remember, generals don't retire.
So generals don't retire.
They don't also expire.
They don't
As long as
expire.
you are kicking, we will continue being generals there.
All right, that's amazing.
Until the next time when others will emerge. You know, this one cannot be endorsed. You just emerge.
You emerge and then you...
Yes, and then people call you that.
All right.
Yeah.
Naam, shukran sana kwako Edwin Sang kwa mgeni wetu wa leo, na asante kwa kutenga muda huu kuweza kuhudhuria gumzo letu la siku ya leo. Na swali linasema kwamba ulionekana kuwa kipaumbele katika kupinga ugavi wa fedha wa mwaka huu wa vyuo vikuu na vyuo vile vya kiufundi. Je, matakwa yenu yaliweza kutekelezwa? Na kama yalitelekezwa, shida inaweza kuwa iko wapi bwana Sang?
Tumepeleka matakwa yetu, lakini serikali haizingatii. Kuna permanent secretary of education. When we raise our issues, normally goes to State House. That's not there the president to approve. That is why we have come up with a memo that the government requested to give them 30 days. That is why we are waiting for that 30 days. I think 10th October we will produce another memo again. Then we fight against the government. They must respect the comrades' power.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sang, on your remark when it comes to that. So it means that all your grievances are not yet heard, or they are not met. Yes. Right. Now, Mr. Evans, you are one of the leaders. And at one point, we saw Kibabi University having produced a memo to the public that it will be having demonstrations towards that funding model. But on the same day, we saw nothing happened. No leaders. Most of the leaders are nowhere to be found indeed. Don't know. Where is the problem when it comes to such?
Thank you very much. Thank you for your question. When it comes to something called public participation,
yes,
we say we follow what we call the Constitution. The government issued at least 30 days before the event of 9/9 demonstration began.
Yes.
That is why I say public participation. Most of the leaders had the information earlier that the government has produced 30 days to sort out with the new funding model.
Yes.
But unfortunately, you said a few leaders.
Yeah.
Those few leaders didn't get the right information from the concern, that is the government. But we are waiting for at least 30 days to even end so that we can see if the government has taken the issue seriously or not. Thank you very much.
All right, that's amazing from what you are explaining. That's a very key point to note when it comes to, and your key point is on public participation. And this question maybe I ask Mr. Erastus. The funding model has been a trend now. It has more than 2 months. People that are speaking about funding, financing, funding universities. You understand that it is still a problem. I don't know where the problem is. Maybe you can elaborate on that to tell us where is the problem when it comes to implementation or funding of university.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenyan. No, the new funding model, it is hectic because in simple terms I can say it is discriminating. You know, we have got students have been classified in band 1, band 2, 3 to 4. And we realize that we can have a student, a comrade, who is maybe total orphan or half orphan, but one of the parents maybe is capable. And then we can have a student who has got both parents, but when it comes to financial, maybe they are not stable. So you realize that these people, they will not be classified in one part. So to me, I say that the funding model is it discriminates. So the government should just go back to the old model, or all students should be classified in one band so that we don't discriminate one from the other. Then also when it comes to, it is difficult to implement it. This model, it was rushed. there was no public participation. So it is good if the government sit down with the student leaders plus the professors, lecturers, so that at least to come up with the amicable solution.
Kulingana na jinsi unavyozungumza Bwana Erastus, inaonekana kungali bado na kitendawili. Lakini tuungane na mwanahabari wetu wa masuala ya elimu Bwana Kabilengi aweze kutuelezea usuli wa mambo miongoni mwa wanafunzi.
Na mbiriziki na kupata vyema sahihi kabisa toka studioni, ikikumbukwa kwamba hii ni hafla nzima ya The Big Table. Kwa sasa mie na mwanahabari mwenza Doreen Nyang'au tumekita kambi katika chuo kikuu cha Kibabi hapa kaunti ya Bungoma kujadili kuhusu swala hili la mfumo mpya wa ufadhili wa vyuo vikuu ambao umeibua hisia mseto kwa wazazi, wanafunzi na hata waadhiri wa vyuo vikuu.
Naam, kama anavyosema mwanahabari mwenza, ni kweli kabisa kwamba mfumo huu mpya wa ufadhili wa masomo ya elimu ya juu umeleta minong'ono mingi sana hasa kwa wanafunzi wa vyuo vikuu. Wengi wanasema kwamba mfumo huu utaleta shida, maana wanaweza wasimalize masomo yao ya chuo kikuu. Kama unavyoona, kuna wanafunzi ambao wanaenda kutuelezea maoni yao na mchango wao kuhusu swala hili zima. Kama unaweza tuelezea tu kwa ufupi jina lako na utoe maoni yako kuhusu mfumo mpya wa ufadhili wa masomo na ni vipi ambavyo umeathirika kama wewe mwanafunzi wa chuo.
Naam, nashukuru sana. My name is a second year student at Kibabi University, studying Bachelor of Education Arts, to be precise, Maths Geography. My academic fee per an academic year is 183,600 shillings. When it is divided into two portions, the first semester I'm supposed to pay 94,000 shillings, 100. But for this academic year, I'm aided by a scholarship of 36,700 shillings, which goes hand in hand with a tuition fee of 27,500. So the government says that it's sponsoring us a 95% aid, which is not true according to us. Most of us are lagging behind. The fee is in a huge amount which we are not able to pay for them. As we are requesting, the fee should be in a precise amount whereby we can be able to pay it as it was before us joining.
Na acha tupate mwanafunzi wa pili atupe maoni yake kuhusu swala hili. Labda tutuambie jina lako na maoni yako ni yapi kuhusiana na swala hili la mfumo mpya wa ufadhili wa vyuo vikuu.
Naam, my name is Eugene Marita, chuo kikuu cha Kibabi, niko first year. Mimi niko band 1. Kulingana na maoni yangu, ningependa kusema huu ufadhili mpya si mbaya vile. Ningependa kusema the problem with the new funding model, it's supporting the people who have money, but it's tarnishing the people who don't have money. Yes.
Na mtazamaji, hayo ni baadhi ya maoni ya wanafunzi wa chuo kikuu cha Kibabi. Kilichobaki ni tusubiri ni mabadiliko yapi yatakayotendeka, kwani hivi majuzi rais ameibua kamati ya kitaifa ya kutathmini kuhusu swala hili.
All right, thank you very much, Brian and Doreen from university. And that is what is happening exactly at the ground when we speak about matters financing or funding to universities. But we pray that very soon a solution will be met and arrived at. From what Brian has said, Obed, Choma and Jen Kuria, if you can hear me on the other end, that is the hotspot studio, I think you can have this rigorous so that you can be speaking on these matters arising when it comes to those that they have said at the gate there about the students. Obed Michoma, can you hear me?
Well, thank you very much, Gideon. Here back at our communication studio. Remember that the topic of the day is that is Kenya really a striking nation? And now let's dive into the matters of the new funding model.
Yeah.
This matter has brewed storms. Of course, in the previous episode of the hotspot, we dissected this matter and noticed that the new funding problem is not really actualized in its entirety and has some loopholes that need to be fixed. Mr. Silali Kibika, you are sitting as the so-called chairperson in Kibabi University. Yes. What is your stand in regards of the new funding model?
We reject new funding model.
When you say you reject, what do you mean, or what have you done to show that you're rejecting the funding model?
I mean that I'm rejecting the new funding model. I have rejected it before, and we shall keep on rejecting. Obedi, I think I have attended a series of meetings over the issue of new funding model. You know, this is a burden, the way you have been saying, because it has its own downfalls as a model, and as we see, for example, why band? The issue of banding is really making the parents, even the stakeholders in the universities, the students, to struggle a lot. So, new funding model, as the chairperson of the institution, I will keep on rejecting. Even in the bush, I will reject.
maybe to clarify on that point, because my brother is just talking very well about our president. Sorry to say that he's very truly about that is rejecting the bill. But I can counteract with that statement, because the other day we heard that he's producing a memo that people should go in the streets, to walk around, to fight against this bill. But I found it in the midnight that something happened. But in the morning I saw just 2 people, 3 people they wanted to strike, but I don't know what happened.
But he attends meetings. That shows really that it does not support this.
Which something? No, I have to be very clear.
All right.
But
something.
At the same time, Silali Kibika, you can tell us if you say which, you're asking which something. Yeah. So, can you tell us what was the reason or what made you to call off the strike that was supposed to be there?
Thank you. But from where I sit, I didn't call off the strike.
Who did?
Personally, I did everything procedurally. I did the memo informing the students.
Do you have a copy of the memo?
I have it.
You'll give it to us.
Dated on 6th of 9. Wait, this is my time.
Okay.
Yeah. I produced a memo as the chairperson. I took it to the relevant offices in this institution. I copied it to the relevant offices. I took one to the OCS, that's the police station, whereby it was procedural, waiting for the students on 9th. I was very early in the morning in my office, because that's where I operate from. But I didn't see the students. Personally, I didn't call off the demonstrations.
Well, let's say that...
maybe I can interject in a minute. I like the way Mr. President is talking about that he had a plan about the matter. But I am really disappointed, because if as a president, if you say that people did not gather, that means you had a poor communication to the people whom you want to gather. Because you can never just sit in the office and say that people will just come because you are very influential, people just gather. No, that's not a very good comment. Because if you say talk about gathering, I met with people at the gate. They wanted to gather, but they didn't have a sight from the president. So we cannot say that the president is supporting this bill. President need to be clear on the statement of supporting the new funding model, because it is really affecting our students.
Okay, Mr. President, he argues that you are a shadow government.
Or did you get goodies?
If I was the president, if I produce a memo, I will be very standing, and I will be at the gate at the moment when I'm telling people, please, let's come.
That's why you are not in the office. Because let me tell you.
For the students.
Okay.
I want to tell him the truth. You know, you must work everything procedurally, constitutionally.
Right.
You cannot work as Lali, you cannot work as Marenga.
Yes.
You must work everything in a constitutional manner.
Okay.
I did everything in a constitutional way.
So do you mean sitting in the office was constitutional?
Very constitutional.
So do you think that it solved the solution of new funding model?
It is solving.
How?
Now you will come slowly. Because today when Obedi,
yes, sir.
I have been with the first years and second years are the most affected students.
Yeah.
We, the third years and fourth years, we're here to help them.
Yes.
And especially me now as a leader. And you as a comrade of goodwill, you're there to help them. Today, I gave a very right directive. We have the help officers in the institution, today and tomorrow. I have made a memo.
They're here?
They are here in the auditorium C. So I have ensured that my students go to the auditorium C to get the services, to educate them. That's the thing.
You've personally supervised?
I have done it. Before I joined you here, I've gone there, I've done everything.
Yes.
I think personally, I'll be in Nairobi in a few hours from now to make sure I go to the help towers in Nairobi to make the follow-up over my students who are affected by the new funding model. 3, I think I'm going to have an engagement with the first years and second years. I have been in touch with them. So we're going to have a personal engagement with them to find the solution. Then for Marenga, the way I'm telling you that we do everything in a procedural manner. You know, I cannot run up and down like someone who is out of mind.
But Mr. President, they say that you don't attend meetings. They didn't see you at KICC.
Yeah.
They didn't see you at KICC.
At KICC, I was there.
You were there. You have evidence.
Evidence that you are there.
I have evidence.
All right.
Yes.
But why didn't you talk or say anything about Kibabi University?
You know, we have 79 universities in this country.
Uh-huh.
That's the thing.
But you could have, exactly.
They could have seen me.
Yes.
Owing to the fact Kibabi University is kind of one of the universities that needs to be on the platform so that the other students will know it's there, it's existing.
Because even
so what are you doing to make it?
Because even if we talk about that you didn't got a chance because maybe there are many leaders. What if these students who are the male representative from the Technical University of Mombasa, do you think that is greater than you?
But he cannot.
But
I want
Mr.
to be genuine and honest with ourselves and the institutions in this country. And this one I want to direct to the government of Kenya. You know, they're trying to make the capital universities to be better than the universities outside Nairobi. That's not the issue. Because I want to be very clear. I have many of my students, my fellow students, whom we learned with them in high schools, who are occupying the same offices in those the so-called universities in Nairobi. Those students were under my guidance, and today I'm the president in this institution. You know, it's not accidental for me to be the president in this institution. So, the government of Kenya is trying to work with the universities that are in Nairobi. Because, as you heard, there are committees that Mr. Ruto and his team are trying to put in place so that they can articulate the issue of new funding model. But the committee composes of the students or the student leaders mostly from Nairobi. So our students in Kibabi, they might feel, because as Western region, that's most Alupe, Kibabi, Kaimosi, they are not represented.
So what should be done? What should be done?
The thing that should be done, all student leaders in this country must be brought on board so that they can agree amicably on the issue of new funding model, rather than taking a few sections. For example, when you remember those guys were saying that they were maybe making the demonstrations to stop. They were not student leaders.
But Mr. Silali, some sources are saying that you guys received something. They call it kachai in Kiswahili.
Yeah,
you received to keep your mouth shut.
My friend, I want to tell you the truth. There is no one on this compound
You didn't
who can
receive
give
anything?
me kachai.
You didn't receive anything?
I didn't.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yes, that one I want to deny it in a broad daylight. Yes.
At the same time, you
Yeah.
said that it's not accidental you being in power in Kibabi University,
Yes.
but owing to the fact that you got into leadership unopposed, what are you really doing to incorporate the other part of the students who are not in your alliance
And
or
that's why I'm
something like that?
having my competitor here.
That's not the other students.
Let me talk about this matter.
Yes.
Because he cannot say that you have incorporated.
But you directed the question to me, eh? Allow me to answer the question.
I want to answer the question.
Let us give him a chance.
Because you cannot say that you have invited me to talk, because these are talks that have been organized by journalists, not the president. It is not sponsored by the president, it's sponsored by the journalists. So you cannot say that this is a way that you're using to incubate me
How
to the
sure
government.
are you?
Just continue. I'm
Yes,
sure.
so how have you done it?
Okay. Now, you know.
He argues that you don't have diversity in your government.
Thank you. As Lali, I value each and every comrade on this ground. And that one is in, you know, I did not select the students I greet on the highways. The students I invite in my office. The door is always open for the comrades to come in my office. We talk. Because remember, at a point, I always say that these comrades in this institution, they are our bosses. And that one, any manager in this institution will agree with me.
Yeah.
That the comrades, without these people, I could not be called the president. because whom will I be leading now? Now, I value diversity. I have grown from a diversified family. I have gone to institutions that value diversity. Now, in short, I value each and every person on this compound. One, I call the association chairs. You know, an association comprises of students from some locality. So bringing these people on board, it means I am trying to bring each and everybody on board. So I value diversity. I'm not a president to a certain tribe or to a certain friends.
Maybe I can talk about in one thing. Maybe because I was the opposition leader.
And before he talks, this is what I want to ask him now. He was the speaker in 2023-2024 government.
Yes.
The new funding model started in the year 2023-2024. I never heard your voice, Bwana Marenga. You know, you do not have the audacity to ask me a question today over the new funding model. You know, it feels a new sense.
I like the way you argue.
Yes.
I like the way you argue.
It started from you.
Is it true? I was in the.
You are the speaker of the parliament.
Yes. Speaker of the parliament.
Yes.
And I tell you, many sorts of issues that we are talking about today is not the issue we handled the other time when I was in leadership.
Yes.
And I tell you, the problem of new funding model, it has really increased because of the new way of funding. Because last year when I was in leadership, funding model was based on four grants. And 4 grants was equitable share. But now it has become to 5 grants, which in this year, it has not equally be distributed.
But
that's why it has brought a problem. I'm telling you the truth. Did you saw any person last year in the
4 grants?
Did you saw last year?
4 grants.
It was first and second.
4 grants.
Yes, it was 4 types of bands.
Can you elaborate on
the 4 to 5
last
bands.
year it was vulnerable, the less needy, the needy, and it was the vulnerable, the less needy. Vulnerable, the less needy, the needy, and the people were able. But now it has been extended into 5 categories. And these 5 categories, this year they have distributed many students. They have pushed them to band number 3 and band number 4, which does not have an equitable finance to the according to the ability that a parent can raise a finance. But last year at least it was very equitable. At least if you can bear with me witness, last year there was no more. The people are not complaining much as compared to
but now.
Because
Marenga,
now it has become.
it has become. Allow me to ask you
just
this
question.
Let's give him time to respond, and then we'll come back to you, Mr. President. Let's give him time.
Now it has just through that inequality in the distribution of this year, because most people they have been distributed into various bands which are not equitable to their way of and ability they can afford to pay. And we can see that now the loan has been increased much more as compared to last year. You can get a student now is getting a loan of 100,000 when you add the fees plus the upkeep. As compared to last year, I remember the highest student, the student last year, it was not equitable. The loan that he could have get last year, it was around 90,000. But now, the lowest loan that a student can get is 100,000.
But why are you now opposing the new funding model? Yet the students are receiving much more money than the previous.
I'm opposing the new funding model because the new funding model is creating a huge debt to students. Because
but students are rejoicing when they find that they have a huge balance in their bank.
I'm not dealing with the present. I'm dealing with the future. I'm a business analyst.
That's not the issue. Can you ask Marenga?
You can ask him. He's right there.
Marenga, let me ask you. Yes. Because the second year students sat an examination. Can you tell us the criteria under which these students sat the examination?
They sat under zero, not under zero balance.
And still on the issue of the day about Kenya being a striking nation, let us join Bernard Mutua in the expert studio to shed more light on the intern doctors strike.
Tukilivalia njuga swala hili kuhusiana na mgomo na maandamano, ni wazi kwamba taifa letu la Kenya limekuwa likishuhudia mgomo na maandamano ndani ya muda wa miezi mitatu kufikia sasa, na kumekuwa na mgomo ambao umekuwa ukifuatana, tukianzia ule mgomo wa walimu, mgomo wa madaktari na mgomo wa wafanyikazi mbalimbali, lakini tutakuwa tunaangazia mgomo wa madaktari, kwani huu ni mgomo ambao umeweza kufanyika, mgomo wa pili kuwa kubwa zaidi nchini Kenya, ikifuatia ule mgomo ambao uliweza kutokea mwaka 2017 ambao ilienda kwa siku 100, na hii ya mwaka 2024 ambayo ilianza Machi tarehe 4 Machi tarehe 4 ambao ulienda kwa siku 56. Na kati ya mgomo huu kulikuwa na pendekezo ambao hawa wafanyikazi hawa madaktari walikuwa wanatumai kwamba serikali ya Kenya iweze kuangazia kwa ndani, ikiwa ile ya kuongezwa kwa mshahara ya wale madaktari ambao bado hawajaweza kuandikwa rasmi na serikali, au intern doctors nikitumia lugha ya Kimombo. Na pia walikuwa wanalalamikia kwamba kuwepo na ongezeko wa madaktari. Tunaona kwamba kufikia sasa hivi Kenya tunao madaktari zaidi ya 4,000 ambao bado hawajaweza kuandikwa kufikia sasa. Na pia walikuwa wanazungumzia masuala ya mazingira ambao wanafanyia kazi yao. Je, unafikiria kwamba baadhi ya haya masuala ambayo madaktari hao walikuwa wanawasilisha kwa serikali yaliweza kutimizwa kabla ya wao kuingia kazini au hayakutimizwa? Tukianza nawe please.
Thank you so much. Concerning the doctors' strike that went so bad, they had to strike even overnight. On my end, according to what has been going on, whatever they wanted, whatever agreements they were fighting for, have not been done to them by the Kenyan government. They were just given another agreement, like we will do that over using this policy. They went back to the agreement, but nothing has been done.
Hold on, as we speak now, we have our health reporters, that is Soita Shitanda and Sylvia, who are at the Kibabi University Health Center and are here to shed more light behind the doctors' strike.
Yes, for sure. She's Yabani Semtua Bernard from the Expert Studio right here in Kibabi University. We are getting you loud and clear. Right here, we want to talk about matters doctor strike that was experienced in our country in 2005. Soita.
Indeed, it is a true fact that doctors are striking. I'll be your host, Sylvia Cherot. Welcome to the big table.
Now, Sylvia Cherot, according to the research that we just done, we found out that the major issue that brought about the doctor strike in our country, according to the Secretary General for the Union of Doctors in the country, see the issues or the factors majorly revolved around the working conditions for doctors and low payments.
From our research, we confirmed that on the 12th May of this year, the doctors lowered, at least 4,000 doctors lowered down their stools to go for the strike.
Now, how did the government react on the doctor strike? Because the strike, after a period of almost 2 months, it came to an end. How did the government react in it?
Now the government and the doctors' union signed a return to work agreement where they agreed to meet their rights.
And this brought a great relief to many sick patients who are in hospitals around the country who are unable to receive medical assistance due to the doctor strike across the country. So that brought a great relief to the patients.
And by the way, Soita, do you remember the incident whereby this medical volunteer by the name Zaha Indimoli confronted the police officers telling them to stop tear gassing the injured cases?
Yes, Sylvia, I do remember that scenario very well. And the medic confronted the police and told them to stop tear gassing the patients who are receiving medical assistance. And the police officer was just like, you go back there and wait for more bodies that we are yet to bring to you. Indeed, Kenya is a striking nation.
Thank you so much. This is what we get for you. I've been your reporter, Sylvia Cherot. This has been the Extramile Media. Back to you, Bernard and Vanis.
We have heard from what Soita and Sylvia trying to say is that some of these demands that the doctors were presenting as the grievances have been met. This including the salary increasement that is between 50% and 100%. But from your perspective, did these changes address the core issues in the public health sector, given that the statistics shows that as per 2022 we have 638 registered doctors who were employed? That means that we have 19 physicians per 100,000 population.
Okay, concerning the doctors' strike, let me tell you what the government is doing that people now should understand. The government says that we are increasing your salary, but behind that statement, they are also appraising their taxes. So you find that the ratio of salary increment doesn't even have a tangential connection to the ratio of the deduction that has been increased. So there's no way I'm telling you that I've increased your salary by 2,000. Then on that 2,000 again, I'm deducting it. So I'm increasing a tax on the 2,000 plus the other tax. In real sense, you realize that you are getting nothing. That's why you are seeing doctors are back again on the way. Apart from that, you should know that we are in a government that says that tutatenga. They will set up, you will see they will lobby funds. Yes, they have gone to China, they have lobbied funds, they have gone where they have lobbied funds. But after that, do you know how this money trickles down? No. And that's why I can tell you that in this Kenya, one day if I'll get money, I'll disappear from public eyes the same way Mutahi Kagwe disappeared with the coronavirus money. Thank you.
This country, strikes after strikes. I'm speaking about the intern doctors. Immediately after the intern doctors, what transpired later on was the JSS. Is it a norm? Is it a trend? Or what is really happening? Where is the problem? Kindly, Mutua Bernard and Banis and Anje, if you can help me so that the guests can give me a clear, elaborate on these matters.
Thank you. According to what is going on in the country, the people who are in the government are playing a blame game. For example, the other year we had a different ministry from what we have right now. And if somebody is being told, last year we had agreed, this office had promised teachers this office had promised doctors this, but somebody is like, I was not in that office. Then when you have addressed somebody who is outside the office, they are like, I'm no longer the CS. So I feel like the government is not taking a collective responsibility as a government. They are giving the workers, the civil workers, promises as individuals. And you see, as an individual, it does not last. You lose a job today, tomorrow somebody else will come in. So when they are handing over to the new people, they're not handing over the promises they did. That is not happening in the country. So when Machogu did something and promised the teacher, Machogu is out. You can't come back right now and you start asking somebody else. Well, you told us this and that, like, no. They're treating the government system as a politics base. You see, in politics, you promise people on your own. I, as Beatrice Akot, I'll do this. But when you're promising a civil society, you're promising them as a government, not as an individual. That means even if one day I die in that seat and somebody else comes, they are supposed to inherit the promises and fulfill them. But unfortunately, in our country, nobody is doing that, and nobody is questioning them. They are like, I came here, I found you with those promises, they were not mine. The same thing, remember what the president had said at some point when he was asked about the youths don't have jobs. He said he came and found us with no jobs. That means they are not taking the government as a national staff. It's our business, no. It's my business. I'm in, no. You are in, yes, it's your job. When I walk out, don't ask me. So they are making work so hard for civil societies, and it's very unfortunate that we are going to strike for a very long time as a country for things to be settled. Anything small, nobody will listen to you if you don't say Tunako Barabara. It's becoming a norm, and it's growing, and I don't know what will change. I'm praying that someday things will change, but not soon. Because nobody loves Kenya as I love Kenya as a country. I love Kenya because I'm benefiting. I love Kenya because I'm the current CS. Tomorrow they remove me from that seat, I'll be like, I was not there when you people were doing. Yeah, so that mostly that is what is affecting us as a country and the government setup.
And in addition to what she has said on implementation, you see the problem also with our government is poor implementation of projects. Let me tell you, you see how the budget is done. These people, what for instance, let's use now the Ministry of Health. Money was allocated to the previous year. But now, because now Mutahi is no longer in that docket, in my own perspective, I think every person, by the time you are leaving the ministry, you sweep the whole account clean. So that by the time the other person comes in, he or she starts now from point zero. That's why we are seeing some projects are halting. Someone is telling us that they are completing Uhuru's project. If you are completing Uhuru's project, do you need again to go lobby money to complete Uhuru's project? Yet that project, before it came to the public, money was budgeted for that. A budget was done. They realized we need this and this. Money was set aside to do that. But now, because it wasn't implemented, due to incompetency and corruption, it is told, now the next person will come again and say, hii iliachwa, we blame the previous one. Now it's a blame game. We blame the other one. We blame the other.
Nikukatize kauli ndugu yangu, labda nimeona kwamba unazungumzia ni mchezo wa paka na panya kwa aliyomo ofisini na ambaye ametoka. Kwa hivyo ni njia ipi ambayo unafikiria kwamba serikali inapaswa kuweka ili kuondoa hii mzozano kwamba mimi ndio niko kwenye ofisi sasa hivi, yule ndiye alikuwa anaendelesha masuala fulani? Je, unafikiria ni mikakati ipi ambayo inapaswa kuwekwa ili kuzuia ile mambo ya kulaumiana?
Number one is to fight corruption. Corruption is the disease that is causing everything. You see, by the time I'm coming in an office, I'm coming with my own whims and preferences. I have my own demands that I want to make this and this. Immediately you bring that in mind. I'm telling you, you will bring the ministry to the knees. So what's to be done is to fight corruption. Let each ministry be answering. But now, you are realized that this is a ministry, but again they have, for instance, the Ministry of Education, you are told that ghost schools were created and money was allocated. You see now they are creating another university and we don't have that university. Money is allocated there. That money that is allocated there, hiyo ndio inaenda kwa mifuko ya watu. So the root disease of everything is to fight corruption. Because once you fight corruption, you'll also be honest. Once you say that tumetenga hii, you'll make sure that umetenga. You won't tenga and then you follow back, you sweep the whole account and again you go outside to bring other funds and start blaming the previous regime.
And indeed, this is a huge discussion. This is a huge topic to be discussed as we have been having a series of strikes in Kenya. We have the doctor strike, the GSS strike, we have the KUPPET strike, we have the currently we are having the Kenyan Public University strike. We also have the strike by the Gen Zs, that is the revolution strike. So, and you find that when these things are happening now, when the teachers are striking, we have a series of school fires. And as we speak now, we have a good number of schools that have been banned. And surprisingly, this event normally happens when we are nearing the third term. This is the term where students sit for their national exam. Does it mean that these students fear doing the exam, or what is it that normally makes us to have these incidents of fires during this third term? Let's join Richard Okosi at the Extra Time studio, who will be shedding more light on that.
Thank you, Bernice. As you have heard, that the fire outbreaks is becoming a very distressing hazard to our schools and more so on third terms. Nikikuuliza mgeni wangu Bwana John, unafikiria kulingana nawe ni chanzo kipi ambacho kinafanya kwamba mikasa ya moto inatokea sana hususan muhula wa tatu wakati ambapo watahiniwa huwa wanajiandaa kukalia mtihani wa kitaifa?
You find that for the case of fire incidents, of course it's mostly in third term, but when I come generally across the whole year, you find that it's a matter of infrastructure that is causing all these challenges. In that, for the case of appropriation of funds, the funds, of course, they are appropriated, they are budgeted, but when it comes to the development, you find that these funds are nowhere to be seen in the projects on the ground. Like for my case in my constituency, you find that there were, for a certain school, which I won't mention, there was capitation of 2.5 million shillings. But when it came the auditor's report of 2020, you find that the only 1.5 million was seen on the ground, while this 1 million. So it's only accountability of these leaders, in that they are not going to see what's happening on the grounds when they release these funds from the treasury. And also, it's for the case of, as you've said, that it's mostly in third term, you find that hadi wewe umekuwa mwanafunzi, like kufikia hiyo muda inakaribia mtihani wa NEC, hapo unakuta uko na hiyo wasiwasi, you are not sure that how will these exams be. So hao wanafunzi wanaingiza hiyo morale, hizo fikra kwamba wakichoma shule hiyo mtihani itafanyika, and that's not the case. So let's, as teachers, let's go and impress the education among the students that, of course, the exams are unpredictable, but let them know they must go through it. Yes.
But now, Richard Okusi, with the help of our guest back at the Extra Time studio, help me to understand, in the case of the missing children, who is to blame?
Kufuatia hili swala ambalo mkasa umetokea katika shule ya Indarasia, hili site Indarasia, kuna wanafunzi 70 ambao wamepotea, lakini kulingana na msemaji wa serikali mkubwa na Isa Kamaura anasema kwamba wanafunzi wapo. Je, nani wakulaumiwa wapo?
Thank you. Like for my case, in this scenario, you find that on the case of the deputy president, he said that the students were not injured, neither were they, or did they perish, but only that they are unaccounted for. But for the case of the government spokesperson, he said that the children are nowhere to be seen. So you find that for this case, it's only that there is some misunderstanding and misinformation between the two people.
Asante sana kulingana na kauli yako, na tukisonga mbele ni kwamba ni hivi tu majuzi tumeona kizazi cha Gen Z wakiandamana wakitaka serikali iweze kutatua shida fulani ambazo wamekuwa wakitaka. Swala ambalo tunauliza ni je, haya matakwa yao yameweza kusikika ama serikali bado haijasikia? Kwa haya na mengine zaidi tupate mwanahabari wetu Collins ambaye amepiga kambi katika maeneo ya Kandui, pale anatuarifu haya kwa kindani.
Thanks Papa Ida, I'm getting you very well, and indeed Kenya has been experiencing a lot of protests, massive protests led by the Gen Zs all over the country. And indeed they were protesting against the finance bill. And even after the finance bill, they continued to protest. And following those protests, the president moved forward to down the finance bill and even dissolving the whole cabinet. And as here we have the Gen Zs, at least perhaps they can tell us what they were protesting about and if their demands were met. Hello, please, can you tell us?
Yeah, as a Gen Z, I'm Mr. No Name. Yani sina jina kabisa. Kwa sababu penye tumefika hapa hivi na government yetu, it's like this government, it was not ready to be in power. Because as Gen Zs, we protested against the finance bill. Because the finance bill, tukiangalia vizuri, it did not favor the wananchis. So tukiangalia in the case of the president being not ready to be in the power, ukiangalia venye aliingia kwa power, aka-appoint the cabinet secretaries. He went ahead appointing the assistant cabinet secretaries, of which tukiangalia tena alienda mbele tukawa na governors and the deputies governors. So hiyo pesa yenye inatumika huko hivyo, sisi kama wananchi wa kawaida tunaumia. So tukaangalia, tukakaa, tukaona the best way possible ku address the issue ni kuenda against the president, whereby to head those peaceful demonstration in charge of in the case of the finance bill. Yeah,
but now the Gen Zs are not on the streets anymore. The streets are cool. Why were demands fulfilled, or you are just anxious, you are just afraid to return back to the streets? Please, can you explain to us?
According to me, I think our demands were not fulfilled. Because tukiangalia, ninadhani alitufunga macho kufuta the cabinet secretaries, akaenda mbele tena aka-appoint the other cabinet secretaries, of which sioni the meaning ya ku-appoint those other cabinet secretaries, na haja emphasize on the demands of the Gen Zs, why he appointed the cabinet secretaries according to the demands of the Gen Zs. Sasa hapo tukiangalia, our demands were not fulfilled. Tukiangalia, ninaweza sema hivi, hizo demands kuwa not fulfilled ni kama sisi kama Gen Zs we are not ready, because tukiangalia kuna some abductions zenye zilifanyika, so tukaona wacha tujaribu ku pull off, because hizo abductions ni ngori manze.
Oh, thank you very much. Indeed, that's why the Gen Zs are not in the streets anymore like they used to be. And we'll be back with the Riziki Mwanya in the communication studio. This is the Big Table, the Extra Mile Show.
kabisa mpenzi mtazamaji, karibu tena katika awamu yetu ya pili, tukizidi kuyadadavua masuala nyeti yanayokumba nchi yetu ya Kenya. Wiki chache zilizopita kumekuwa na maandamano ya vijana wa kizazi cha Gen Z wakiwasilisha malalamishi yao kwa serikali kupitia miji tofauti hapa nchini. Baadhi ya malalamishi yakiwemo ufisadi, uongozi mbaya na pia kupinga mswada wa fedha wa mwaka wa 2024. Je, Bwana Erastus, unadhani matakwa yao yaliweza kufikiwa?
Thank you. You know, I'm also a Gen Z, and I just want to, there's a mistake we made as Gen Z. One, we said we are leaderless, we are faceless. And that's why it was very difficult for the government to address our issues, because the majority of the issues that we raised, some of them have not been addressed. So the mistake that we made, we could have formed leadership so that if there was anything, the president could have addressed, because the president cannot address 18 million of us. So the first mistake we made, we could have leaders. So those leaders could have represented us. And I'm 100% sure, when the president was appointing the cabinet, he could have consulted the leaders so that as Gen Z, we could have produced our own. But I'm very happy some of the issues that we raised, the government is addressing. You know, some changes that are gradual. We can't just wake up and make them. And you know, Kenya is ruled by law. Today, president can wake up and make this decision, and tomorrow somebody goes to the court. Then that process happens. So the issues that we are in democratic country, and I know the president will address that. But I'm just urging the Gen Z, my friends and my colleagues, that one, we have to have that leadership so that in case of the same issue, the president or the government can address those leaders.
Naam, shukran sana Bwana Masinde kwa jibu hilo. Kulingana na jibu la Erastus, je, unadhani serikali inafaa kufanya nini katika utatuzi wa masuala yale yaliyowasilishwa na kizazi cha Gen Z ili mambo haya yasiweze kujitokeza tena katika siku za usoni? Kwako Bwana Sang.
Makosa moja basi serikali wanafanya, kupata wanaandika watu kazi ambao hawaelewi kile wanafanya. Ya pili, serikali kuhusisha vijana ama idara ambayo inaelewa kazi zaidi. Napata kiongozi mkubwa kama rais wetu, kabla ya kushughulikia planning, huwa anaangalia kwanza tuko na nini kwa mfuko. Sasa ni mzuri kwanza aende nyanjani, afanye field work, kuona ya kwamba kazi inaenda na mkakani. Concerning issue ya new funding model, napata ni watu wakubwa ambao walihusishwa. Napata PS for education aliweza kuteua chopo ambao walishughulikia swala hili, na hawa hawaelewi ni nini ambayo inaendelea kwa wanafunzi wa chuo kikuu.
Before we proceed, Mr. Evans, will you please give us the key point or the major point when it comes to problem solving on matters Gen Z? Which is the long-lasting solution so that these matters can be addressed? Speak of corruption, speak of bad leadership and governance, something of that sort.
The first thing that government should do, we are in a democratic nation, so we need to involve even the Gen Z in power. In order to get a long-lasting solution, the first priority is placing the Gen Z in the negotiation table with the government, so that they can be involved in the leadership. So I think to overcome the issue of like corruption, you know, we are in 21st century.
Yes.
And when we say 21st century, everyone is intelligent, advanced technology. So if we want to end these issues concerning corruption, Gen Z should be involved in power. Gen Z should have their own leader, so that when it comes to a negotiation table, the Gen Z leaders has a reason, has a grievances to say that the government, this is what we want. So that everyone can get what we call the shares from the government. Because when you go to the ground now, even the people who are above 60 years, 50 years, they normally say that you are very young. And normally we say, when you are a leader, you are a leader. So I urge the government also to just have agency in the table, produce a constitution that will favor everyone.
All right, that's amazing, and that's a good insight when it comes to problem solving, because they must be brought on the table so that they can share their ideas. They might be helpful and needful. And remember that wherever you're watching us from, during the Gen Z revolution, I'm speaking about the protest, those peaceful demonstrations. During that moment, we saw journalists being intimidated. They were being hurt. You can just imagine a journalist being pushed away from a police vehicle. Now, the question is, and this is the reason as to why we have media researcher, this is Ziz Isabel, who is joining us live to highlight on this so that she can share whether the freedom of the press in Kenya is fully achieved or we still have a long way to go. Madam Isabel Ziz, if you can hear me.
Esteemed panel, thank you for the opportunity to discuss this subject. It's of utmost importance. Well, when you talk about the freedom of the press in Kenya, especially in our media landscape, we know that we have a very vibrant and very dynamic media landscape, and it plays a very important role in shaping the conversations that happen, especially right now that there's a lot of holding the power accountable. And in this area, I am very disappointed over the recent surge that we have seen in press violation, especially targeting journalists, and no action has been taken against this. And you know that as a journalist, you have to keep the country informed of what is happening. So as you try to keep the country informed, also your life is in danger, and it is a violation of our rights, even as journalists.
And if we still have a long way to go, what is that one thing that needs to be done to address these matters when it comes to freedom of the press?
One of the greatest threats, to democracy, even in our country, especially when there's no free press, because for a country to hold its leaders to account, the media is very, very important. So basically, with the escalating threats that we've been seeing against journalists, we've seen abductions happening, we've seen pressure on media houses, and I think it's time that we need to, make some decision and take some action so that we ensure that there's independence of journalism. Well, when we look at it, we can also say that Kenya's constitution, it stands as a pillar of protection for the media. And embedding within this constitution is the Bill of Rights and the vital provisions that safeguard freedom of expression, of media, right to access information. So it marks a significant departure from past eras when media freedom was often, stifled. And our constitution explicitly ensures that the state refrains from interfering with media operations or penalizing journalists for their opinions. So we have a constitution that is supposed to empower us as journalists and even citizens in their quest for accountability. But you see, even with all this, the constitution guarantees, yes, and it provides a strong foundation. Of course, it comes with some limitation, because there is it prohibits propaganda, like propaganda that can incite violence, issues of hate speech, issues of even of advocacy and hatred. So as much as we talk of freedom of press, we also know that our constitution reminds us as journalists that we have to be balanced and we have to be responsible. So as even as we look at the frameworks, like in the constitution, the media landscape in Kenya has actually, even during the last maandamano, we've seen very bad things happening. Like journalists have encountered harassments, intimidations, even physical violence, particularly when investigating these sensitive topics or government actions. There's a reminder of this incident in Nakuru where a journalist was shot in the line of duty, and such attacks, of course, they were reported, but even after it has been reported, nothing has been done about it. It just goes silent. So, as we have seen this happening, of course, we've had some voices coming up, like media advocacy groups have come up, civil society organizations, and even journalists. We took to the streets because we are championing for the freedom of press. So I can say as a country, we still have a long way to go. And we can, I think if we come together, or then by, collectively addressing these challenges, then Kenya can cultivate a media ecosystem, that stands as a cornerstone of democracy and transparency. Because we all know that a vibrant and independent media will not only, fortify our democratic institutions, but it will also, foster a society where every citizen's voice is heard and respected. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that meaningful session on matters of freedom of the press. And now, one-on-one, we would like to shift the topic. Remember, I have told you that it's a matter of strike after strike. What happened after Gen Z? What happened? What transpired? Gen Z also, they had an attempt. I'm speaking about JKIA first attempt, where there was a heavy security at the airport, so they could not proceed with a planned protest. So they had to shift and go back to the CBD. But later on, we have seen that we had the JKIA workers striking. What is this problem? Why this and why that? Is the Adani deal also behind the curtains? If you can hear me, Mtua and Banis, help us understand this.
Kutoka kwenye studio ya mazungumzo au communication studio na kupata vizuri yangu Yeri. Tukirejelea mambo hayo, labda tu niulizie kwamba kulitokea na maandamano ya Gen Z ambao walikuwa wamejaribu kwa mara ya kwanza kuelekea katika uwanja wa ndege wa Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Lakini kwa mara ile tunapata kwamba serikali ya Kenya ilikuwa imejiandaa vilivyo, na kwa hivyo kulikuwa na ulinzi wa hali ya juu. Kwa hivyo wale Gen Z hawakuweza kufikia pale uwanja wa ndege pale Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, ya chanzo kitu ambacho kiliwapelekea wale Gen Z kuelekea upande mwingine wa CBD. Labda kwa maoni ama labda jinsi gani tunaweza sema kwamba kulikuwepo na fununu ya kwamba kulikuwa na ile mpango wa serikali kupeana uwanja wa ndege katika sekta ya kibinafsi, au kwa sababu tunapata kwamba kutokana na ile maandamano sasa hivi tumekuja kupata swala nzima ya mpango wa Kenya na Adani. Unaweza sema vipi kutokana na yale ambayo
my friend, what we should know is that we are in a regime that is ready to burn the whole nation just to clinch on power. That's the regime that we are in. They can even burn the whole country as long as they are in power. Why? Because they want money.
Nikukatize, labda swali langu ni je, kulikuwepo na fununu ama je unadhani kulikuwa na fununu kile chanzo ambacho kilipelekea wale Gen Z kuelekea kule kwenye uwanja wa ndege ndiposa kupinga hii masuala ya mpokezana au Kenya kupeana uwanja wa ndege?
The main aim of the Gen Z Occupy JKIA maandamano was to send a message to the international world that yes, in East and Central Africa, we are there. Jomo Kenyatta is the only hub, right? But now Gen Z wanted to tell the international world and the president that we can hold a whole day the activities in both East and Central Africa by doing this. because that's the only way they realized that man could hear them. Na hiyo siku si hakuna kitu iliendelea pale. That was the main aim. Mambo ya kusema okay, rumors were there but they zilikuwa bado hazija come up to the public limelight. Ati the airport is going, but apparently it has gone.
Just hold on that. On speaking on issues, JKIA, it has been facing a series of issues. We are speaking about a series of blackout. Then we have the former CS of transport before the dissolvement of the cabinet, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, confirming to us that we have these rooftops of Terminal 1, that is Terminal 1B and 1C were leaking. We also had this KAF workers striking when the whistleblower brought this issue clearly that the government of Kenya is planning to lease a Kenya strategic asset to a private entity that is Adani Group in India. So to our guest in the hotspot studio, what is the secret behind this Adani deal? Because we saw the current CS of transport, that is Davis Churchill, before the Senate committee, struggling to provide sufficient information about the agreement terms.
India's Adani takeover has brewed storms as they are trying to take over the JKIA in a contract that has been dubbed to be about 30 years. And the question that continues to brew in the Republic of Kenya is that,
is Adani deal a true thing or a scam? Caleb Marenga, what do you think about the Adani deal?
I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking this perspective that I was hearing the other day, the Chief Justice, Martha Koome was saying that this deal, yes, it can really help our country, but it is unconstitutional because it went in. It was just between the stakeholders and between the Adani group and with the president, and it did not involve. There was no public communication because JKIA is a public organization. That means it needs public administration. It doesn't need politicians to address the partnership. That means there must be public awareness. So according to the CJ, according to the constitution, it is unconstitutional because public were not aware about the matter until the matter was unveiled into the public and it brought an issue. So it is very unconstitutional.
And then Silali Kibika, as a leader in our country, do you think the president or the people, the stakeholders should allow the Adani deal to be passed in our country?
And no, a few individuals are making decisions for the majority in this country. So personally, as the president of the institution and as a citizen in this country, I'm not in agreement with that. So the deal is a scam.
And now, to understand the public mood about the Adani deal, let's link up with our senior political reporter Wayne Wanda, who is just on the road leading to Kisumu Airport to provide us more information through the public eye. Wayne.
Adani Group is one of the latest big money deals signed by the President Ruto administration. Besides the deal, which triggered strike on the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, whereby airport workers went for strike, another deal was signed by the former energy CS Davis Churchill. The Adani Group, owned by the billionaire family Gatman Adani, submitted a private initiative investment proposal to the Kenya Airport Airways early this year. In the proposal, they were to manage and rule the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport for a succession period of 30 years. The controversial Adani deal has triggered strike whereby airport workers went for strike. However, a deal was signed by the airport workers by the government whereby they returned to work. However, the Secretary General for Airport Workers, Mons Diema, insisted that the okaying of this deal does not mean that the workers are supporting the Adani deal. I was able to camp at the JKIA and I found a passenger or a traveler who is stranded here and has his take about the deal. karibu sana kwenye Big Table. Utatuambia tu kwa jina lako ni nani, na utatuambia ni jinsi gani unaona hii Adani deal kwa Wakenya na serikali ya Kenya Kwanza.
Okay, kwa majina ni Ronald Wanyonyi. Mimi upande wa hii maneno ya JKIA naona tu inaonyesha kwamba sisi kama Wakenya tunaona tu kwamba hatuna imani na government juu ikiamua kutoa kitu kama hii inamaanisha hatuna imani nayo kabisa. Hata pia hii hajiamini juu kitu kama hii airport kupatiana kwa kampuni nyingine inamaanisha kwamba hiyo kampuni iko na uwezo wa kuingiza mtu yote hapa nchini. Inamaanisha kwamba hiyo kampuni inaweza amua ni nani aingie ni nani asiingie.
That is one of a take of a traveler here at JKIA. The other day, the CS of Road and Transport, Davis Uchir, appeared before the Senate in the City Hall. And the senators demanded him to provide the documents of Adani deal. Unfortunately, the cabinet secretary was unable to provide the documents. Similarly, he appeared on Citizen TV Live, whereby he was interviewed and he was asked to give a delegation of those who went to India to present about the Adani deal. But he was also in a hot seat whereby he was not sure about his statements. The fundamental question we are asking Kenyans and the Kenya Kwanza government, is Kenya a striking nation?
Na tukisema kwenye spoti ni kwamba kulingana na klabu ya Harambee Stars imeweza kucheza mechi mbili ya kufuzu kwenye mashindano ya AFCON. Mechi ya kwanza waliweza kutoka sare ya nunge na mwana Zimbabwe. Mechi ya pili wakamchapa mwana Namibia magoli 2-1. Lakini kulingana na kauli ya mkufunzi wa Harambee Stars bwana Ejina Firata kwenye mechi ya kwanza kutoka sare ya mwana Zimbabwe, alisema kwamba Kenya inajidai kwamba ina viwanja ila hali haina viwanja, na tunatazamia kwamba mwaka wa 2027 Kenya ni miongoni mwa mataifa ya Afrika Mashariki ambayo itakuwa inaandaa haya mashindano ya AFCON, ikiwemo taifa la Tanzania na Uganda. Kulingana na kauli yako, unaweza semaje kuhusiana na wizara ya michezo nchini Kenya?
For the case of sports sector in Kenya, you find that the funds is a big issue, and the funds come in through the corruption way. In that, of course, the government, it says it has released a certain amount of funds, but when it comes on the ground, you find that these funds are nowhere to be seen. So the government has not gone on the ground to find what this issue that's leading these challenges of sports. And specifically, let's focus on the football. At least athletes are in good position. But when it comes to football, you find that the big issue is the infrastructure. The infrastructure, you find that the Kenyan fields are not good developed to hold these games. And the key issue is funds. And the funds, they are released. But when it comes to ground issues, ground activities, you find that nothing is being done. So what we just ask the government is to be accountable, to go on ground and see how these funds being spent by the ministry where these funds are allocated for. And also, when it comes to this football performance, you find that there is poor talent identification. the sports sector has not gone on the ground to aid curbing these challenges of identification of talents. So let the government give it itself fully to make sure that the talents are nurtured from the grassroots, the national level.
Kulingana na kauli yake ya pili kwenye ushindi wa 2-1 dhidi ya Mwananamibia, Bwana Firat alisema kwamba amefurahia ushindi huo licha ya kuwa hajalipwa mshahara kwa muda wa miezi 9. Kulingana na wewe Bwana Juni, unaweza sema kwamba Wizara ya Michezo nchini Kenya haijawekeza kwa upande wa kandanda ama wasemaje?
Pesa zipo. Kenya iko na pesa. It's only that issue ni pesa zinatumikaje. Unapata that the coach Engine Frat anasema hajalipwa for 9 months but amekuwa akiwaka. Sasa unajua imemuuma sana hadi akafika hiyo stage ya kusema hiyo kweli kwamba hajakuwa akilipwa for 9 months. Meaning amekuwa akidanganywa huko nyuma, all this while amekuwa akidanganywa. So these people who are working for the government sectors, let them aid their grievances to the government and the nation, to the people, so that the people can know that this is the key challenge that's affecting this sector in the government. You get it?
Yes.
Ni at least watu wajitokeze waseme although mnaona tunafanya kazi but hii ndio shida tunapitia.
Sawa, tukisonga mbele tuauliza kwamba tumeona taifa la Kenya likiwa na serikali ya muungano mara kadhaa na tena hii mara imetokea. Sasa tunauliza kwamba wananchi wa Kenya wana umuhimu wote ambao wanaweza pokea kutoka kwa hii serikali ya muungano. Kwa mengi zaidi kuhusu hili tunarudi kwenye studio yetu ya mawasiliano ambao kuna Bwana Yeri atakuwa anazungumzia hili kiundani.
Indeed, it is true from what you have just explained, my colleague Richard Ida, on matters broad-based government. We are speaking about what transpired later on after the Gen Z revolution. There was a broad-based government formation by the head of state. Remember that the previous cabinet, it was dissolved, and later on he appointed the President of the Republic of Kenya, President William Ruto, appointed a new cabinet to aid him. Is it a political win-win situation, or it is a one way of solving the problems we are having? To Erastus, when it comes to broad-based government, was it just a win-win situation so that they can blindfold Kenyans, or it was an aided plan by the political class so that they can win on the other end?
Thank you very much. No, there's something called presidency in Kenyan's politics. And I can take you back. We have been having this broad-based government since we got independence. You remember when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta came in power, he had to work with other leaders to form the government. And we came to President Moi, where he had to go to look for the opposition. That was around 1998. He went and worked with the opposition. They formed one government. Then when he came to Mwai Kibaki, you remember the Nusumkate government, where he went and incorporated the opposition. We came to former President Uhuru Kenyatta. He did the same, and we called it a handshake. And now we are terming it as broad-based. No, it is good. It is good, like when we have the government working with the opposition, because the opposition might have these ideas, policies to transform, to take our country to the next, to greater heights. And when they incorporate with the government, that one, it works well for us. And sometimes the political class always come together at the expense of common managers. But when they come together like that, at least you can see, you can feel it, since Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, since he joined the government, we have not had serious demonstration as they used to be. You know that one, it's a lot the country expert.
So, Mr. Erastus,
yes,
from what you are explaining and the way that you are putting it, that I'm speaking about the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. The moment he joined the government, then the country got a solution. We have not seen any other demonstrations.
Yes.
Right. So does it mean it is a norm that if a government must come in, then they have to do something against the will of people, and later on, the political class will come together so that they show the public that they are united and their problems are solved? Is it a norm, or what can we call it?
You know, I can just maybe address it briefly. Like, why do people go to the streets?
To ask for their grievances.
And who is their leader? Who normally incite people to go there? They are the leaders. So, you know, when the political class come together, you know, what is the aim of the government is to make the system to work. And the opposition should be there to check, right?
Yes.
And you can feel it. Okay, maybe in some places the price of commodities maybe they are still high, but you can at least, even if the economy, you know, it's not all about Kenya.
Yeah.
Only it's a global issue.
Yeah.
But you know, the government. That's why I'm not saying that maybe GNC did something bad, like being leaderless and faceless. Because if leaders would have been there, maybe. Because we don't come from same background. Some of them could have been bribed.
Yeah.
But government, like when it incorporates the opposition, then the systems work. Now we don't have strikes like what we used to have. You know, GNC demonstration, it was historic. It has never happened. Like going and occupying the parliament of Kenya, it has never happened. That shows that people were really suffering. But you know, that demonstration was later on hijacked by thugs. I see. So sometimes some people might go to the street not to fight for their rights, but to loot. That's why when the government comes together with the opposition now, those thugs that wanted to take that advantage, they will not go because they will be exposed.
Yeah.
But if they say tomorrow we are on the streets, thugs will come there. But if you say there's no that, no, they'll be exposed. That's why since Raila joined the government, you never see them.
All right, that's amazing. Maybe to Mr. Evans, if you can briefly tell us which is this long-lasting solution so that it can help when it comes to solving matters of Gen Z.
Thank you very much. The first thing, when it comes to a long-lasting solution on this Gen Z, the first thing is everything that government is going to do should involve Gen Z. Number two is something called public participation. It's not bad for the Gen Z to go into the streets because they are fighting for their rights. So the government should come with a strategy that brings a balance, regional balance. Because when we say a leaderless, we are a leaderless, that is not something that will bring a long-lasting solution. But what will bring a long-lasting solution is just public participation, bringing them in table, having their own leader. You see?
Does it need one to have a leader to solve the issue of corruption in the country? Or we must
in whatever way. So that one we should have involved a certain leader so that it can encounter certain to encounter certain corruption. Because when Jesse went to streets, you can see we have tax, we have robbery. So some of the businesses stopped. You can see, but if the Gen Z could have their own leader, to represent them in government. So there will be no any matters of stopping of the businesses. In fact, corruption should not just arise as we have seen. Thank you.
Mengi yamezungumzwa na wageni wetu tuliokuwa nao siku ya leo kuhusiana na kizazi cha Gen Z. Kwako Bwana Sam, je, unadhani ni njia ipi mwafaka ya kusuluhisha masuala ya Gen Z?
Njia mwafaka ambayo serikali inafaa kufanya ili kupunguza administration na issues ya corruption ni serikali kuweka enough resources on the EACC, DPP in order to investigate these resources, and also issue that when someone is gotten with an issue, the government should, these agencies, EACC and DPP, should use as short as the time in order for those resources to be returned back, and also intervention from the government on issues. Let's say the president is having a friend that does an issue of debt or assisting the public resources. We should not come into interfering with the process. Let the person be dealt with those agencies and the resources returned to the people. And then next, the government should come up with this broad-based government and should have leaders of the GNC. You know, these GNC leaders, they are very intelligent and they hold the leaders. Another one, let's have public participation, whereby if the government wants to implement something, they should involve the citizens, because they are the one on the ground. They are the specimen. Thank you.
Swali hili basi linaenda moja kwa moja katika upande wa pili wa studio zetu, katika studio ya expert. Kumekuwepo na visa vya utekaji nyara na vile vile kumekuwepo na kuhangaishwa kwa wanasiasa kama vile Jimmy Wanjigi. Je, ni nani wa kulaumiwa na kwa nini visa hivi vikaweza kutokelezea katika nchi yetu ya Kenya? Kwenu expert studio, kama mnanisikia.
Over those abduction, we have over 60 people who are missing currently. We have over 361 persons who are seriously injured and over 630 people who are arrested according to the KHNCR. And we also have over 75 people losing their lives, and also we have the Kwara massacre, and these were the second largest after the Shakahola massacre. Then we found to understand that it is only the LSK and this Kenyan Human Rights Commission that is standing with the victim. Who is safe and who is not safe? Mtua.
Kwa kweli swala hilo ni ngumu. Kwa sasa tuwezi kubadili au kubaini ni yupi yako salama na ni yupi hayuko salama. Kwa hivyo ni swala la serikali kwa ujumla kuingilia kati na kuhakikisha kwamba wale ambao wameweza kutoweka wamepata haki yao na wameweza kurejeshwa. Haswa tukiangalia pia hivi majuzi kwamba Inspector General Masengele ameweza kukumbwa na ile tashwishi ya kutoweka kwa watu watatu ambao mpaka sasa hawajaweza kupatikana. Kwa hivyo ni sharti na ni jukumu la serikali kuhakikisha kwamba kila mwananchi na kila Mkenya yupo salama.
Kutoka studio ya expert tunasema shukran sana, na kwa jenerali wa pili Enoch, swali ni je, ni yapi unayoyafikiria kwamba nchi ya Kenya inaweza kufanya ili kuzuia mikasa hii ya kuhangaishwa kwa wanasiasa na vile vile utekaji nyara wa wananchi? Kwako Enoch.
Asante sana. Kitu ya kwanza, ndio mtu atekwe nyara Kenya, lazima kuna information ambayo ako nayo ya serikali. Lakini sasa kitu ambacho tunazidi tuelewe ni kwamba in Kenya we have a freedom of expression. So the only thing we want to do is we have 3 arms of government, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Lakini sasa kuna hii arm of government ya judicial ambayo inakuwa interfered. So when we leave it to be independent, nobody will be arrested or abducted because you have the information concerning the government. I think that's the only thing we can do. So waachilie tu serikali ile the third arm or the second arm ikuwe independent. Once they make decision, it's fair and fine. Otherwise wakianza kuinterfere, that's why you are seeing somebody has been arrested, somebody has been abducted, and at the end of the day hata wapelekwe kotini. So una realize kwamba ni mchezo tu inachezwa because of they want to infringe the freedom of expression for the people.
Shukran sana Enoch almaarufu Jenerali.
Ruto. And now to you, Mr. Silali Kibika, once more. Freedom of speech during the Gen Z demonstrations. There was a feeling that the freedom of speech was being undermined. Is this your stance? Do you feel that the freedom of speech was being undermined?
Yeah, during the demonstration of Gen Z, the police officers, because the main purpose of police force in this country is to bring law and order, maintaining law and order. But now the police used to force, they harassed the common wananchis who were demonstrating. They didn't even allow them to air out their views. And we can see even the people, the media personnel, the journalists were being harassed. So during the demonstrations, we didn't have the space because remember, we are in the same category of Generation Z.
On that note, the Gen Z revolution brought about the broad-based government where Mr. President Ruto incorporated members of the opposition political party, that is Azimio Coalition, into his government to bring about the broad-based government. Jen.
And so, let us join our own reporter, that is Jackson Simadoi, who is in Kibabi University Business Center, where the citizens from Bungoma will be saying what do they feel that the president did the right thing, or he did what was against his own words.
Naam, Kuria, nawapata kwa njia iliyo mufti kabisa, na hivi sasa nimekita kambi katika eneo la Kibabi. Swala la serikali ya muungano, ukipenda broad-based government, jinsi ilivyodokezwa ni kwamba baada ya maandamano ya vijana wa rika la Gen Z, Rais William Ruto alilazimika kulivunjilia mbali baraza lake la mawaziri na kuunda baraza jipya. Katika baraza lake jipya, Rais aliwateua viongozi kutoka chama cha upinzani, haswa chama cha ODM. Viongozi hawa ni pamoja na Wycliffe Oparanya, Hassan Joho, John Mbadi na Opiyo Wandayi. Serikali hii ya muungano itaweza kufanya mapendekezo au yale matarajio ya vijana wa Gen Z au la. Tupo na mmoja wa vijana hawa na anatueleza tu ikiwa kwamba serikali hii ya muungano itaweza kufanya jinsi au mapendekezo yao walivyokuwa wanatarajia. Kwanza kabisa, pengine jitambulishe tu kwa majina na utupe muonekano wako kulingana na swala hili nzima la serikali ya muungano.
Asante sana. Kwa majina naitwa Anthony Ziruma, mwanafunzi hapa Kibabi. Na kwa upande wangu, swala la serikali kuwa na ule mcheketo au kuunganisha sehemu mbili ya upinzani na ya serikali katika kutafuta mawaziri bora, kwangu ninaona bado itasumbua. Sababu wale viongozi ambao wamewekwa katika hiyo nafasi ya wale ambao walikuwa mawaziri, sio Gen Z ambao walikuwa katika barabara wakibeba matawi. Wale ni wanasiasa bado, na ile tabia ambayo wale wa kwanza walifanya bado watafanya the same thing. Kwa hivyo mimi nilikuwa naonelea kwamba bado mambo yatasumbua na serikali iangalie Gen Z. Kuna wale watu ambao wamesoma, wako na tajriba nzuri ya kufanya kazi katika hiyo wizara. Watafutwe waweke katika nafasi hiyo, mambo itasonga mbele.
Naam, hayo ni baadhi tu ya maoni ya mmoja wa vijana hawa. Swala hili linatupeleka katika mapumziko mafupi, lakini usiende mbali, manake tutakaporejea utapata mengi zaidi, haswa kwa Communication Studio.
mtazamaji, asante sana kwa kuweza kuungana nasi katika gumzo letu la siku ya leo. Ungana nasi kwenye awamu yetu hii ya 3 na ya mwisho. Na tukiweza kuingia kwa wageni wetu wa leo tuliona kwenye studio zetu, ni yapi mliona neno lako la mwisho la kuweza kuambia mwananchi wa Kenya yule anayekutazama?
Nashukuru. Langu la mwisho ambalo naweza ambia wananchi ambao wanatazama ni kwamba watu wajitokeze na waweze kushirikiana katika uchaguzi wa viongozi. Manake if you don't vote for somebody, you are just voting indirectly for somebody whom you don't want. So if they vote, if all of us we come together and vote for what people want, or vote for those people we want, nobody will cry about the bad leadership. The only problem we're having is so many people are not voting. Lakini wanangoja results, after result they start crying. So they should come out and vote for the leaders they want. And then they should not consider money to vote. Let them consider for integrity and for better leadership.
Thank you. The first place, on the issue of corruption, Kenyans, we should not leave this thing to the government. And some of us, or some communities, they contribute a lot on matters of corruption, because one person can be convicted, then immediately we see the Mutuetu syndrome coming. So we Kenyans, if we want this corruption to end, we also, like if somebody has been convicted, let's support the ACC. Like I can give one scenario of an issue whereby somebody looted the NYS money meant for NYS. The Mutuetu syndrome came in, and that person now, where she is now, she's the governor of a certain county. Then recently we saw, for one of the former governor, he was convicted. But what happened in the next 2 days? The people of that county, they went to the streets. So when they do that, they jeopardize the whole process of convicting these people.
So the problem, is it with the EACC, or where is the problem?
The problem is one, the EACC does the work, but we have intimidation. And when the common mwananchi are somewhere, political class comes in. But if today Erastus Mazinda has been convicted, then my people come, they say that yes, he's a thief, he must be arrested. That one gives powers to the ACC. But if the Mutuetu syndromes come in, that's a problem. Then also the last one also, I just want to urge my people, our GNC movement, that the power we had, it is not just die like that. We have to go with that energy to the ballot box so that we elect the right people. And also the GNCs, they should be very careful, because now we are having some populists, maybe they are trying to come up to criticize the government so that they become popular. And I'm not going to try to say this. Somebody like our deputy president, he wants to take advantage of the GNC problems. Then he wants to behave like he's the center. If there's a mess in the government, Gashagwa being the second in command, he's also part and parcel of it. So he should not come out now just because his interest has not been served. So Kenyans, if we were to make a decision, Gashagwa should not be excluded. And we're also shocked, our deputy president can go on media and complain that he has been removed from our WhatsApp group. We don't know the kind of leaders. While other countries are really doing well, our deputy president is complaining because he has been removed from the WhatsApp group. Where are we going? Where are we heading, Kenyans?
It's a long conversation for the other day, or a day to come. Thank you very much, Erastus. Maybe as we conclude, Sam.
Asante sana. First of all, the government should put more resources on the anti-corruption unions, and two, citizens to vote. Let's vote the right leaders and very competent leaders. Someone have been identified that he has looted public resources. Let not hold any public office. And then thirdly, I think strike and demonstration is the best solution, and we will stand to strike for things to go right. Thank you.
What are you telling Kibabi comrades?
Kibabi comrades, we are waiting for the solution of the government 30 days to end, and I want to send a message to the government that They have said they will come up with a committee that they will sort the issues. I don't know, in Kibabi or Western region, we have not had any leader that has attended that committee. That will show us that we will stand and also demonstrate to the government a very serious one. Thank you.
Moja kwa moja tuungane na wanahabari wenza Obed na Kuria waweze kutoa kauli zao tukitamatisha gumzo letu la siku la leo.
Thank you very much, Lea Luvuno, back at our communication studio. Of course, we acknowledge that you are in the very great and able company of our colleagues, that is Gideon Yeri and Riziki Mwanyaye. Today we have tried to dissect the matter that is Kenya really a striking nation? And in the hotspot studio today we have had guests, that is Kibabi University School President Silali Kibika and Caleb Marenga, who was serving as the former SOCO speaker in Kibabi University. We have tried to dissect matters ranging from the new funding model strike, and of course temperatures have risen, as you have seen, and we have tried to cool them down, and we don't know if they'll be able to be cooled. Yeah, we don't know if they'll be able to be cooled, but all in all, it has been a great show back here at the hotspot, Jane.
Yeah, Obed, it has been a great show having the two with us, and definitely they are leaders. So it will be also nice if we could hear from them, starting from Silali Kibika. What is their prediction of their future in 5 years to come?
Thank you. You know, I'm a humble man, and I thank the comrades of Kibabi University for believing in me, for giving me an opportunity to serve them. And I believe after 5 years, as Barack Obama said, yes, we can. And also one of the politicians in this world said that I have a dream. I cannot fail to mention that I, Silali, I have a dream. So after 5 years, God willing, and through the will of the comrades of Kibabi and through the will of the people of Kenya and Kimilili, I believe I'm going to be the next member of parliament after 5 years. That's 2027.
You'll be running?
Yes, I will be contesting. Yes. So that's what I can say at the moment.
And now, Mr. Caleb Marenga. Of course, in the recent episodes of our hotspot show, we have known you to be an analyst when it comes to matters concerning the national space. And now, Mr. Caleb Marenga, where do you see yourself in maybe in the future?
Thank you so much. I see myself in the future as a consultant. I desire to open in the 5 years to come. I desire to open a consultancy company, which I will offer any consultation that is offered, maybe for public administration, for academic matters, for business matters. Most of the time in the business matter. Even nowadays, I'm calling myself business analyst. Because I desire to solve the problem of the business people and the problem of our nation. That is to understand the data. Thank you so much.
And why are you in political world?
Because I'm just political. I found myself because of the leadership. Let me just say that it's just a leadership quality that I carry, that sometimes you find yourself being pushed in a place that you're standing. But I want you to understand that administration is not about politics. Because in 1896, there is somebody called Wilson. He was talking about political administration dichotomy, and he said that politics and administration can never work together. Leadership and politics can never work together.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
In 1789, we have Napoleon Bonaparte. France.
Viewers back at home, thank you very much, gentlemen, for appearing on the hot seat. We have tackled it adequately, I must say, and we have been very proud to engage you in our hot seat. And now back to our viewers back at home. Thank you for tuning in, and just a hot take here for us to take home, and maybe to take with us, is that a striking nation will hinder development. And sectors such as the health, education, and even the security space are necessary for a successful government. That is what take.
And with the teachers, the Gen Zs, the doctors, and everyone else on the streets, is really the education we are having the right one, or is it a scam, or rather a way of making us just to follow what is going on, a trend? So let us know what is really the best way out for our country, Kenya.
And the government and the institutions and administrations, can you do the right thing?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Silali Bika. And that is all from the Hotspot Studio, Jane.
This has been the Hotspot Studio. But remember, let's take it back to our analysts and the people who are giving factual information. That is at the Expert Studio with Motua and Banis.
As we conclude this interview, what are your concluding remarks?
Okay, thank you so much. Concerning everything that is going on in the country, tuko pabaya. Generally, tuko pabaya as a country, kabisa. And I feel so sad because people who are in the government are old and they don't have anything, any option or any future with the young generation. They're not paying attention to education, they're not paying attention to healthcare, they're not paying attention to anything that is involving young generation. So I don't know, in the future we'll have to start afresh or tuko tu pabaya sana.
In my conclusion, let me say this. We better die while standing than live on our knees. To the striking doctors, to the striking comrades, the striking drivers, they should keep on striking until something is done to the Ministry of Education, to the Ministry of Health, to the Ministry of Food and Industry, to every ministry. That's the only way. Because if diplomacy fails, let's use force. Bangladesh, they used force. Sri Lanka, they used force. Our ancestors used force to liberate us from the colonialism. So it's now our time to rise up and fight the black white man who has just subjected us into neocolonialism.
Thank you so much for making time into our studios today. Until there, we have no much but to thank you, our viewer, for keeping tuned to the Extramile show, Kibu TV. Continue following us in a subsequent bulletin. I've been your host, Banis and Anjem. And as we always say, Mugala Muweni na haki yake mpe.
Na mwenye haki siku zote apewe haki ndani ya taifa lenye haki. Nimekuwa wako mtu wa Benadi. Tukutane muda mwingine.
Labda kwa kauli yako ya mwisho, ni maoni yapi unaweza toa kwa taifa la Kenya kuhusiana na hii migogoro ambayo inaendelea?
Like for my case, you find that this for the case of the doctors, the strike of teachers, currently there's a strike of lecturers across the country. The key issue is they are not aware of some of the implementation that the government has put in place. They only know when it has been initiated and signed by the president, ascended by the president, and this is what's going to be done. So let there be public participation in these issues, arising issues in the government. And also let there be increased public investment. And the public investment, it comes in that let the government improve in the investment in health sector, education, and also finding the possible ways of creating jobs to the professionals and young youths. And also for the case of accountability, let the government tell the people that this is what we are planning and this is how we spend this, these funds, and that will be a better case of solving these challenges of strikes in the country.
Asante sana kwa muda wako, na hayo ndio yamekuwa maoni ya mgeni wetu kwenye studio, Bwana Johnny Ezachez, ambaye amekuwa akitoa maoni yake kulingana na hili swala ambalo tunalijadili hapa, is the Kenya the striking nation. Basi nimekuwa mwanahabari wapo Richard Ida ambaye nimekuwa nikikuletea makala haya. Bye bye.
All right, thank you very much for that informative conclusions. Indeed, the guests, they have meaningful and solution-based information when it comes to these matters. Riziki Mwanyai, mwanahabari mwenza, ni lazima watu waandamane ndio migomo isuluhishwe ama kunaenda vipi?
La hasha, Bwana Gideon Yeri. Ni dhahiri shahiri kuwa nchi yetu ya Kenya ina misukosuko mingi tu, na kulingana na hoja mbalimbali tulizozipata kutoka kwa wageni wetu pamoja na wale ambao walikuwa katika studio zingine ni kwamba shida hizo zinaweza kutatuliwa iwapo serikali pamoja na viongozi husika wataweza kushikamana kwa pamoja ili kutimiza matakwa ya wananchi. Jina langu ni Riziki Mwanya.
Awesome. Na mwanahabari mwenza Lea, uko na kauli ipi?
Na mpenzi mtazamaji, mimi sina mengi ila kauli yangu ya siku ya leo ninasema kwamba shida ilitokea, shida inatokea na shida itatokea. Na iwapo shida itatokea, basi viongozi husika watakaowasilishiwa shida hizo wakaweze kuwajibika ili kutatua shida hizo, kusiwepo na mitafaruku tena. Mimi ni Lea Luvono.
All right, it's been an amazing conversation when it comes to the production of the big table. We have asked, is Kenya a striking nation? Remember the question, it doesn't take one to go to the street so that their problems can be heard. Government have an ear to listen, and not only to listen, but to implement so that we can have solution. No problem in this country or worldwide that has no solution. Allow me now to thank the production team for the amazing job. I'm speaking about those people behind the camera, led by Victor Koeche, and also my colleagues that you have seen them, my co-anchors, starting from the communication center. You have seen them to the hotspot studio. You have seen them expert studio. You have seen them, and without forgetting the extra time studio. We also have people in the voice overs and all other things in the technical part of it, without forgetting our guests who have also made time for this today's production to be a success. We say thank you so that next time when we call you, you just respond and you come so that we can help each other understand as we analyze these critical matters. But the most important person that I would like to appreciate is the audience. Wherever you are watching us from, remember that we value, we like you, and we also keep you posted. For more comprehensive stories, just visit our social media platforms at the Extramile Media. My name is Gideon Yeri, and this has been The Big Table. Is Kenya a striking nation? No. Goodbye.